standing by to talk to us. DDG, good evening to you and welcome. So operating with or from without its license conditions, that sounds fairly serious to me.
Good evening, Jeremy, and good evening to your listeners, and thank you for this invitation. Let me start by saying that air pollution in South Africa is a very serious problem and increasingly serious. In fact, it's a problem worldwide, and a recent UNEP study has demonstrated that 2 to 3 million deaths, premature deaths per year are taking place, costing developing countries 5% of GDP. So I just want to give that as a context. We have a challenge here. Now, air quality is regulated in South Africa by the Air Quality Management Act. It of course gives effect to Section 24 of the Constitution, which is about South Africans' right to an environment that is not harmful to health and well-being, and in other words, not harmful, air quality not harmful to health and well-being. The Act allows for or enables the Minister to declare priority areas in areas where she believes that ambient air quality standards are being exceeded. It also enables the Minister to set ambient air quality standards and define that level of ambient air quality that is not harmful to health and well-being, and then to define what activities do have an impact on air quality.
Right. Ms. Beaumont, just for the sake of brevity, the emissions do not comply with environmental regulations. How bad is the situation over Kriel right now in terms of Eskom's current operating protocol?
Well, it is bad. It's bad in the sense that in the high-felt priority area, which is the area in which Kriel is operating, the particulate matter levels of air pollution are exceeding the standards. Now, the challenge is that we've got to, including Eskom, all operators in that area have to contribute to bringing those ambient air quality standards into line. Now, the provincial licensing authority was approached for a variation of the conditions of the atmospheric emission license for Kriel Power Station. Adjustments were made, and Eskom was still unhappy and unable to meet these conditions. A letter was then received, I think, on the 6th of November, and a number of consultations have been taking place to assess how this can be addressed. The issue, however, is that people are dying and having serious health effects in that particular area.
Right.
And
so currently, is Eskom breaking the law currently by continuing to run that station?
Well, yes, their emissions are exceeding the conditions of their atmospheric emission license. Now, Eskom has applied for exemption and suspension, but none of those are options within the law. There is, however, an option within the law, which is a postponement of the time frames for compliance with the Section 21 limits. And we have been engaging with Eskom to receive information in relation to an air quality impact assessment report, the extent to which the area in which Kriel is operating is exceeding the ambient air quality standards.
Where in your opinion is the balance between power generation on the one hand and its common cause that we have a critical problem in this country, and environmental consideration on the other hand, and as you've just outlined to us, consideration for people who are dying as a result of this?
Well, Jeremy, this is the absolute classic sustainable development challenge. And it's the classic challenge of balancing economic, social, and environmental impacts. And what we are trying to do with the provision in the Air Quality Act that enables the postponement of the time frame for compliance with emission standards is to provide a framework within which the operator is able to get their house in order over a time period. And I think this is really the critical approach that Eskom needs to take.
But Eskom says it's unable to do that because it simply can't afford it.
Well, Eskom also needs to demonstrate why it is that they've not been able to comply. Eskom was directly involved in a very extensive consultation process that took place over 5 years of setting those emission standards. And in fact, the emission standards were set specifically so that industry was able to comply, but at least we were also balancing the economic, environmental and social imperatives, the health imperatives.
Is it the department's view that this power station should continue operating?
Well, it's difficult to give a definitive answer on this, and really what we are trying to get from Eskom is a plan going into the future of how they are going to bring their power stations into alignment. And there's a series of different possible strategic approaches that Eskom is able to take. For example, there's also an offsetting approach where they are able to develop or make a serious proposal of how to improve the environmental conditions.
DDG, I understand that, but
area.
given that you told me not 2 minutes ago that people are dying as a result of the quality of air in Mpumalanga, how much longer can this continue, and how much time should Eskom be given?
Well, this is the issue, and with an atmospheric impact report from Eskom, the department would be able to do an assessment of the matter. Indeed, people are dying. This is a matter that we absolutely cannot have a result in which Eskom is given an exemption, and people in the area are affected. This is a matter of life and death, and as a country we have to look forward as to how we're dealing with these issues.
Very quickly, are you, again, time
energy.
is an issue here, DDG. Are you convinced that Eskom is moving quick enough on this issue?
We certainly are not convinced. We recognize that, of course, the country is in a very difficult situation from an electricity perspective, but we also recognize that there's very, very good progress being made rapidly in terms of renewable energy. We need to factor that in to what the plan is over time. And this is what we are looking to Eskom to provide us with, an understanding of how renewable energy over the time period going forward into the future, the 2015 and the 2020 emission standards, assists in alleviating the challenge that Eskom is currently
I'm going
facing.
to have to leave it there. Judy Beaumont, thank you very much indeed, from the Department of Environmental Affairs, holds the post of Deputy Director General.
Know more about your world. eNCA.com